What if I told you that one of the reasons your favorite cafe on the corner still pours espresso at 7 a.m., that the small atelier down the lane can still sell handcrafted leather goods, and that entire train lines stay full every summer is because strangers from all over the world decided France was worth the trip? Stick around and tell me in the comments, what memory from France changed you the most? Was it a meal, a view, or a museum moment? France didn't become the world's top tourist destination by accident. For decades, and especially in the pre-pandemic high point, it was the country that most international travelers chose to visit, drawing close to 90 million arrivals in a normal year. That scale turned tourism from nice to have into a structural part of the economy. But numbers only tell half the story. The other half is cultural gravity. France's museums, monuments, wine regions, coastline, mountains, fashion houses, and even the idea of la vie française act like a magnet for curiosity, aspiration, and romance. That magnet is centuries in the making. The grand tour of the 18th century, the explosion of railways in the 19th, and Paris's reinventions through world fairs and artistic movements all layered on one another. Those developments turned an elite itinerary into an international expectation. Visit France. When tourism scales to tens of millions of visitors, it stops being just hotel receipts and becomes an economy. By different measures, tourism accounted for a meaningful slice of France's output and jobs. When you combine resident and non-resident tourism spending, the sector represented roughly 7.5% of GDP in 2019. Even looking at direct contribution alone, recent years show tourism returning tens of billions of euros and employing millions of people across hotels, transport, gastronomy, museums, and retail. That makes tourism a major employer and a powerful lever for regional economies that might otherwise struggle. Think beyond hotels. One museum renovation creates construction jobs, more visitors support local bakeries, and fashion weeks pay for show venues, stylists, and freelance crews. Tourism multiplies. Every euro a traveler spends circulates through restaurants, taxis, local guides, artisans, and beyond. That's why governments and businesses watch tourist numbers like bankers watch interest rates. Paris is not just a city. It's a brand that carries an enormous chunk of France's tourism revenue. The Paris region welcomes roughly 45 to 50 million visitors a year in a normal, healthy cycle, turning the city into an international stage. Iconic sites, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Versailles, and even Disneyland Paris pull in massive crowds and add real, countable revenue. The metro, hotels, souvenir shops, and guided tours all feed off that steady flow. The Louvre alone is a case study in tourism scale. It now hosts many millions of visitors each year, so many that the museum has been forced to rethink entrances, capacity, and fees, including new plans to increase capacity and adjust pricing for non-EU visitors as part of a renovation and crowd management strategy. Those changes are a direct response to the economics of demand. Crowding erodes the experience, which can hurt long-term revenue if left unmanaged. There are three pillars behind France's mass appeal: cultural legacy, painters, writers, chefs, designers. France's cultural exports created expectations. Parisian museums and chateaux are tangible proof of that legacy. Variety of products: beaches of the Côte d'Azur, ski resorts in the Alps, vineyards in Bordeaux and Burgundy, medieval chateaux in the Loire. France sells multiple holidays under one national passport. Infrastructure and accessibility: high-speed TGV lines, a dense rail network, major international airports, Charles de Gaulle, Orly, Nice, and an organized hospitality industry make travel smooth for millions. Over time, public and private investment aim to match demand, not chase it, a crucial difference. Historical choices like Haussmann's boulevards or the rail expansion in the 19th century created the physical backbone that later enabled mass tourism. Tourism pumps money into local economies, but it also reshapes them. Small hotels, family-run bistros, and tour operators profit when flows are steady. Festivals, conventions, and business travel add year-round demand. Yet there are tensions. Over-tourism in hotspots pushes up rents, changes neighborhood character, and can make everyday life more expensive for locals. Seasonal dependence leaves regions exposed when crises hit. And the COVID shock showed that acutely when travel halted and entire communities face sudden revenue loss. With scale come problems. Overcrowding at major sites, wear and tear on historic buildings, and the environmental footprint of long-haul travel. Governments, cities, and museums have started to respond. Caps on visitor numbers for sensitive sites, investment in renovation projects to preserve heritage while handling crowds, dynamic pricing and differentiated ticketing to spread arrivals, and campaigns to promote off-season trips and lesser-known regions to diffuse pressure. France's approach mixes national promotion with local controls. National agencies and regional tourism boards fund promotion and logistics. Local authorities fine-tune visitor rules, manage parking and transit, and sometimes even push back against short-term rentals when residential housing becomes scarce. It's a balancing act. Preserve the authenticity that drew visitors in the first place while capturing the benefits. A few business models are especially resilient in France's tourism ecosystem. Experience-based offerings, small curated tours, private wine tastings, and hands-on artisan workshops command higher margins and anchor premium visitors. Cultural institutions with diversified funding, big museums offset ticket volatility with memberships, sponsorships, and international partnerships. The Louvre's renovation plan, for example, mixes ticket revenue, sponsorship, and museum partnerships to avoid burdening taxpayers while expanding capacity. Year-round attractions. Disneyland Paris, large conventions, and fashion weeks bring visitors outside the summer window, stabilizing cash flow. Digital platforms, bookings, dynamic pricing, and localized marketing now let small operators compete globally. France's tourism sector has shown resilience in recovery phases. After the pandemic slump, tourist numbers rebounded strongly, and in recent analyses, France's travel and tourism sector posted record contributions to national GDP as demand returned, a sign that the sector's fundamentals are strong even if external shocks remain a risk. That rebound matters. It restored jobs, got supply chains moving again, and revived urban life in tourism-dependent neighborhoods. Numbers can't capture that moment when a traveler stands in front of the Mona Lisa or reaches the top of Montmartre, and the city opens up in a new way. Tourism is as much about those human moments as it is about receipts. For millions, a trip to France is not just a holiday, it's a milestone. First foreign trip, a honeymoon, a culinary awakening. Those stories flow into marketing, word of mouth, and lifetime travel patterns, and they keep the cycle going. France's tourism lifeline faces several clear risks: geopolitical shocks, climate impacts on ski resorts and coastal areas, competition from other destinations, and the long-term environmental cost of mass travel. Managing these risks means smarter tourism, investing in sustainable transport, promoting longer stays over quick city breaks, and using pricing and capacity tools to protect heritage sites. Public policy will matter, not just for promotion, but for planning. How cities manage short-term rentals, how museums invest in preservation, and how regions diversify their economic base so they're not hostage to a single season. Tourism in France is not just postcards and pastries. It's a major economic engine that sustains jobs, preserves cultural institutions, and funds renovation projects. But it also needs careful management so that future visitors still find what made France irresistible. If you love travel, think of the next trip as part of a larger system. Choose slower, deeper experiences, support local artisans, and consider visiting outside peak months. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments, what's one French place you think doesn't get enough attention? Have you seen over-tourism firsthand or felt the magic that keeps bringing people back? Drop that story below. And if you want more deep dives like this one on the money behind famous places, hit subscribe and tell me which country or city I should unpack next.